Education 1030 students. So, I don't know when you're watching this video, but it is finals week. So, last week you finished up doing your post-test, your course feedback, and the last unit in our chapter, Unit 3. So, you had to do Chapter 2. This week is finals week, and so what you're going to do, aside from your final exam, you also have to complete your Unit 3 capstone. So I'm going to take some time to go through the capstone with you, as well as show you the final exam review and the materials and where you can find it. So I sent a separate email out talking about finals and when they were in our schedule, and we'll talk about that just in a minute. But first, let's jump into capstone, and then we'll go on and talk about the Unit 3 or our final exam. So the capstone is the same format that it has been for the other two that we had. So really we're using the same format. It's complete narrative sentences. And remember, when we're talking about narrative, it's talking about from your perspective, but we're still using the text for our responses. So as I mentioned before, it's probably easiest just to download this assignment and type in. But remember, a written analysis is still paper, so we have to do it in paper format. So we're answering with paragraphs. So we're using complete sentences. And you'll see here when I go over the rubric, that's something that I'm going to be looking for because we've had 2 unit capstones already, so we should be familiar with how I am grading the capstones. So as I mentioned, you will be using your textbook, and we will be using Chapter 9, 10, 11, and 2 to answer these questions. So in Chapter 9, the first section is the tech tip. So we're really looking for how we use social media to help us when we're looking for jobs. So obviously social media has good aspects to it, and then there are some negative. So I want you to think about what would be the pitfalls of social media sites, right? Or maybe think about your posts that you have, like Instagram or Facebook. So any social media accounts that you have, Twitter, those sorts of things. And think about something maybe you posted or someone you follow, maybe something that was inappropriate, or maybe someone you tagged without permission. So I want us to really focus on the positive side. Okay, so whether you use Twitter or not, I want you to look in your Chapter 9 in your tech tip, and I want you to look at the productive ways of using Twitter. Like, how can it help you? How can you use this platform to better your online profile? And you're going to list 2, after you list the 3 productive ways, you're going to list 2 Twitter profiles that you could follow to benefit your career. So you're going to have to get on Twitter, and you're going to have to see which profiles could help you. So think about what you want to do for your career, and those would be the ones you follow. And if you don't use Twitter, say, I don't use Twitter, but here's the 2 that I would follow. And these are the 3 productive ways that you could use the platform to help you when we're looking at careers. So on that same note, we're looking at the career story in Chapter 9 as well. And in Chapter 9, whenever you're looking and searching for companies that you may want to work for, they always have a section that's called About Us, or Our Company Story. So what I want you to do is I want you to search 2 companies and select 2 that you would like to work for in the future. And then on their homepage, I want you to choose Our Story, or About Us, or Our Company Story. And I want you to read that information. And then I want you to tell me 3 interesting things that you learned from reading about that agency. Because remember, when you're out there searching for a job, it's really important for you to be able to know all you can about that company. Think about, would you want to work for this place? What's their mission? What's their story? Would I be a good fit? Would they be a good fit in my life? So these are things you need to think about, and that's what I want you to write about in this section. Moving on to Chapter 10, we're going to start again with the tech tip. And this time, we're going to go back to social media. Except, I want you to think about things that get posted on the internet, okay? There's all sorts of ways that we get our news, right? We can get our news on social media, on cable, just different ways that we encounter information coming at us. I want you to list 3 things that you should do to verify to see if something's actually correct when you read it on social media. Because we can't always rely for that information to be correct or true information. So we have to do our due diligence and make sure that we are always checking and verifying, is this actually a fact or is this true information? So I want you to tell me what 3 things that you should do in order to verify something is legit. Also in Chapter 10, connecting to your career story, on the section that says develop your career story, I want you to think about a problem that you previously encountered and solved. So when I say previously, I'm talking maybe say within the last year. And I want you to go back to the section that talks about developing strong thinking skills. And I want you to look and see if you're using these types of thinking skills to solve that problem. Did you use any of those thinking skills? And if you did, how did that help you solve? So I want you to describe how you solved the problem. And so if you didn't use any of those thinking skills, tell me that you didn't use them, and how it could actually help you in the future when you're solving problems. Chapter 2 tech tip is going again, social media. You see kind of the theme that we're going here. I want you to think about maybe an old social media account that you don't even use anymore, okay? That's still open, but you just don't get on it and you're not active. I want you to think about what would the risk be of you leaving it open. So think about how employers are vetting potential employees, right? So they're getting on, they're looking at your social media platforms, because that's a way that they're going to vet to see if you were a good fit for the company. What would they find on your old social media accounts? Is it inappropriate? Is there information there that maybe you need to address? Maybe you followed someone that posts inappropriate things. So these are things you need to think about. So are there things you need to clean up that you wouldn't want potential employers to see? So this is something that you need to think about and answer fully. And also address, are you going to be taking it down? Is there nothing bad? Should you leave it up? Should you address this or just delete your account completely? So think about these things. The next part in Chapter 2 is develop your career story. And I want you to think about a challenge that you've overcome in your life. And I want you to describe the challenge in your own words. And I want you to kind of write descriptive words, thinking about growth mindset, resilience, grit, all those really great things that we talked about that really play into our emotional intelligence and our mindset, and also thinking about what pushes you to keep going on even though it's a challenge in your life or something you've had to overcome. And I want you to describe that. How did you get through it, right? Think about those sections that talk specifically about resilience, that talk about growth mindset and grit, and I want you to tell me your story. And if you need help, go back to Chapter 2 and go back over those words, see what the definition is and how it describes what that means. The last chapter in the unit Capstone is Chapter 11. And I want you to think about how technology can be helpful to us, right? So think about how you want to live a healthy lifestyle. So I want you to think about the information on the tech tip page in Chapter 11. And I want you to kind of visit, so it gives you websites to visit on that actual page there in tech tip page. I want you to visit one of those sites. And I want you to go to the home page of that site, and I want you to see what interests you about that site. And then think about the helpful tips it gives you for your health, your body, your mind. And I want you to see how you can incorporate those into your life. And be sure that whatever website you chose, that you list that, so I'll know what you're looking at and what you're talking about. Then you have develop your career story for chapter 11, and this is where you're going to go back to the Occupational Outlook Handbook here. And in the search bar, I want you to type your career again, and I want you to click on the section that says work environment. Now, work environment is describing like the hours you're going to work. Are you going to be inside or outside? Is it like a stressful, fast-paced job? So all of these things talk about your work environment. I want you to see what a typical work week would be for you. Thinking about the conditions you're going to be working in, thinking about your typical work hours, and see if you think this is going to be a challenge for you. And then I want you to talk about the challenges you might face and then how you plan to meet those challenges or overcome them. And then, of course, lastly, in our capstone, we are going to sum up all this information in a summary section. And I really want you to think about all the information in chapter 9, 10, 11, and 2. So think about the information resources that you've examined. Think about how you think critically in college, your motivation, your mindset, your resilience, your grit. Think about your health, your stress, your anxiety, all these things. They affect your current college experience, right? And they affect your life. I want you to think about how all this information can come together and how it's going to help you to make better choices moving forward. Not only your college experience here, but even later on in life. So that's what I kind of want you to look at and talk about in the last section. So let's look at the rubric and it's the same rubric that you've had for the other two capstones. That way you understand how you're being graded, right? So of course I'm looking at these different sections of criteria. So I'm looking at, did you actually address all the prompts within each chapter, as well as the summary prompt at the end? I'm looking at your spelling and grammar, right? Obviously, this is not a European Lit or a written English composition class, but you do need to be able to produce college level writing, so I will be looking at that because you've had 2 capstones thus far to work on. Then I'm going to be looking at your actual response of what you're putting inside your answers. I'm looking at, do you have insights and understanding? Are you committed to this challenge of moving forward in your college experience? And also I'm looking at your growth. So now that you've done 2 other capstones, I'm going to look at your growth from the first one to this one and see how you've grown. Have you progressed and developed in your college experience? So that is going to be how you are going to be graded. I always tell students, look at it twice, look at it once before you begin, and then look at it again before you actually submit it. So that will cover capstone 2. So you'll look, it starts April 28th. Okay, so that started on Friday, April 28th at 12 a.m. So you should have started working on it. So where you're going to find this is if you go to eLearn and go to content, course information, and hit content, you're going to see a section that says Unit 3 Capstone Written Analysis, Exam 3 Review. So that's what you'll click on, and that's where I just was at. Okay. If you scroll down, you're going to see Exam 3 Review. Now, I sent a separate email out telling you the final schedule for this course. So your exam for finals is not going to be comprehensive. So it's not cumulative over every single chapter we've ever had. Your final is only going to be over Unit 3. So chapters 9, 10, 11, and 2. Your exam will open Tuesday, May the 2nd at 12 a.m. and it's going to close Thursday, May the 4th at 11:30 p.m. So you do have a window of opportunity, a window of time there for you to complete the exam. So just make sure that you are reviewing all of the review material I gave you. So I have, of course, the review sheet here. Okay, so this is the study guide. It's taking a second to load, sorry. Okay, so here's your study guide. This is your review sheet. So these are the concepts or the main ideas that you should be studying. Okay. As always, I also always put the reading organizers, so you have all the reading organizers, which you should have been completing as you read these chapters. So if you have them, that's a good study guide as well. I put some games in here for you as well. So we have Quizlet Matching, Quizlet Learn, Quizlet, and then actually you can test yourself with a test, and then you have flashcards. So these are just in addition to the review sheet that's really going to help you and give you feedback how you're doing, what else do you need to go back and look over. Okay, so once you start the test and begin, the clock will start. So please do not open the test until you're actually ready to take it. So again, it opens Tuesday, May 2nd at 12 a.m. and it will close on Thursday, May the 4th at 11:30. So that's a good window of time for you to be able to take the exam. So just keep in mind that this week, during finals week, you still have to complete your exam, but you also have to turn in your capstone. So the capstone is going to be due as well. So if you go to Dropbox and you scroll down and you're going to see Unit 3, it closes the same time that your test closes, so your final exam. So you have to have your final exam and the capstone completed by this time, May 4th, which is Thursday at 11:30. So if you've not started working on it, I would get at it and start completing that. Last week you should have already completed your post-test as well as your course feedback. As always, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Alright guys, I can't believe it. You're the last push, so let's cross the finish line strong, okay? And just please make sure you study before you take the exam and open it up and begin it. Alright guys, I'm here if you need anything. Take care.